And do you remember that the nobles told you that the driver of the vehicle was bald?
I do remember that being in the report, yes.
And you didn't mention that today when you were talking about that ring camera, did you?
I did not.
It's an interesting thing to leave out of your discussion of the whole situation now, isn't it? So there was a bald guy driving Tyler Robinson's car with 3 other people in the car the night of the shooting. And that's been in the report all along. And they knew that all along. And he avoided mentioning it.
Conspiracy theories are entering a dangerous...
Information is the oxygen of the democracy.
There's so much evidence out there that even if less than 1% is true, that would be enough to collapse the current paradigm and change the whole planet.
So it is day 2 of the preliminary hearing of Tyler Robinson in the Charlie Kirk murder, assassination, investigation, trial, etc. And it's been a really interesting proceeding so far. I'm sure that you've seen clips. I'm sure that you've seen opinions. I'm sure you've seen commentary. There's lots more to come, I'm sure. I've been following along largely with all of our homies on the various live streams. We got Nate and Matt from Trigger Smart and Baze and Danks. We got a whole bunch of homies that are doing daily co-streams, which is a ton of fun to watch. So I've been following along with them and listening and analyzing. And I'm going to summarize everything that we've learned so far and everything that is new and significant. And there's a lot that's significant. And it's important to preface up front that what this is not the trial. This is not about proving guilt beyond any reasonable doubt. This is a preliminary hearing that is just about should it go to trial. And the bar is super low. It's going to go to trial. This bar will be met. Baron Coleman did a really great breakdown of it that you should watch. He's a lawyer. I'm not. We're not getting whether or not Tyler's guilty. That's not what we're getting right now. But what we are getting is what evidence do they have? Because they're presenting a whole bunch of their evidence. The prosecution is presenting to show why it should go to trial. And if you recall, we were told explicitly by TPUSA that there are mountains of evidence. That's the whole premise of why TPUSA is so certain that Tyler Robinson is the guy. And that's why they said that because they're so sure that Tyler Robinson is the guy, because they've seen some of this evidence behind the scenes, there's just so much of it, that's why you're an evil person for asking any questions, doing any investigations. That's where the premise that Candace Owens is a horrible, hateful person comes from, is because there's so much evidence that it's really, there's no question. And you don't need to ask any questions because the feds already solved it. So we are expecting to see overwhelming evidence. And there's some evidence that we already knew we were looking for, like there should be video of the shot being taken on the roof, because we know there's a video camera that explicitly is pointed at that roof that saw the person on the roof. There should be video of the shot being taken, and we've got that. It's a little underwhelming. It's extremely underwhelming. And then, is there any change to the evidence that we were told about in advance? And most importantly, is there any new evidence that's going to add significance and weight to this allegation that Tyler Robinson is a lone gunman that was motivated by trans and like gay stuff, had nothing to do with Israel, had nothing to do with any other co-conspirators. There was no conspiracy. There was no state actors. There was no intelligence agencies, not a trained assassin, not a hitman, nothing complicated, just a disgruntled gay kid that shot him all on his own. And everything new that has come out during this trial only makes it shakier and only makes it more questionable. And we're going to go through all of those elements right now. Real quick, before we do get into it though, I just want to give a huge shout out to my fucking vibe coded version of web that I've got on my own computer that is like my own personal like workroom that has just been making this a really easy and fun process, because what I'm doing as we go is I'm live scraping the transcripts of the hearings as they happen. It's being entered into this updating document on the left, you can see there. And then I can have ongoing conversations with my AI bot about what's being said in the transcripts. And I can pull live clips out of it just by saying, hey, I want a clip of that they were just talking about this. Go get that clip. I need to find that other clip, etc. I wanted a clip from Baron's YouTube channel from last night. Grab that clip. It's just fun. I can like literally talk to it and about the case as it's going, pull things from the transcripts. It's actively capturing all of it. It just makes it a lot easier. It's really neat. So just shout out to the AI overlords for making finding the truth a smidge easier. It's good that we're getting a little bit of benefit before they, imprison us all and make us into AI wage slaves. Day one centered around basically 2 witnesses. And there's a lot of segments throughout these days that become largely irrelevant because they'll get bogged down on describing the courtyard for like 2 hours at the start of day one, or they got bogged down today on litigating back and forth whether a piece of testimony from a TPUSA pastor is admissible and should be read aloud in court because it's really just trying to bias the world towards how religious and wonderful Charlie Kirk was and how horrible and gay Tyler Robinson is. So those parts we're not gonna dive into the sort of extemporaneous discussions, just the place where evidence and testimony gets really interesting. And I'm genuinely not trying to cherry pick. My perspective is that it seems extremely unlikely that Tyler Robinson did this on his own. That's no secret. I think this was an intelligence agency operation based upon the evidence that I have seen, but I'm not trying to specifically cherry pick things that only add to that. And a lot of people that are watching along, I'm seeing a lot of the comments and the chat segments that are where a lot of the audience to this spectacle are sort of rooting for their team. And that is not my experience watching this. I certainly think I have a good theory about what did or didn't happen, more so what didn't happen than what did happen. I don't know what the hell happened, but I'm looking for like new information to help inform me. So, for example, they were talking about, should we admit this video evidence? Should we show it in the courtroom? And I'm like, fuck yeah, dude, show the video evidence because I want to know more. If that video shows something relevant, I want to know what it shows. And there's a lot of people that I saw in chat that were like, no, don't show it because it might like help the prosecution's case or something. And it's like, dude, this is not a sporting event. This is one of the most important trials in your lifetime, in America's modern history. And it's important that we get the truth and we get the actual evidence that they actually have and we parse it accurately and intelligently and cogently. So I'm genuinely not trying to cherry pick this or that here. My experience of watching it is that this evidence has been wildly underwhelming, and everything new that we've gotten has mostly made me have more questions. So we're going to go through all that clip by clip. Starting on day one, this is Catherine Nestor right here. You'll see her. She is on Tyler Robinson's team. So she's the defense. There is one or two other people on the defense. I'll try to tell you if we have them. The witness that you're seeing here is a police officer. He's the police officer that located the rooftop scene of the crime. He's the police officer that first found the roof of the Losi Center, and we'll get into that in a minute. But first, one of the weirdest things that came out in this court testimony that we did not know about is that apparently there was a armed, unidentified man that accompanied him to the scene of the crime when he first found it, and we have no fucking clue who he is. So let's listen.
And it appears to me from reviewing your body camera that there was another individual who was with you that went to the Losi building who was in civilian clothing but appeared to have a gun. Who was that?
I don't know who he was exactly. He had a badge on, and I had somebody with me to back me up as I ran up the stairs to make sure I had somebody with me.
So you don't know what agency he's from or where he's from?
No.
And it looked like he had a pistol.
Yes.
Is that right?
A handgun, yes.
Or a handgun.
Yeah.
And so the two of you go to the Losi building.
Yes.
When you reviewed the videotape at the police department later, did you check?
So there's a person in civilian clothes with a handgun that had a badge, apparently, that he doesn't know who he was, didn't ask, but he accompanied him to the first finding of the scene of the crime. It's going to be pretty relevant here in a second. I'm hoping that someone knows who he is. I'm hoping that either the defense or the prosecution has figured out who that is and that he will be identified at some point, because that's very concerning. And we already have a lot of footage of random civilians on the scene of the crime the day of that had badges. There's one famous clip that went around of a dude that we don't know who he is that has a badge that takes it off and hides it when he sees that there's a camera filming him. We've had questions about that for a long time now. And we just got more questions about it because obviously having an unidentified person arrive at the scene of the crime as it's first being discovered and having no corroboration as to who that is or what they may have done at the scene of the crime is not good. And it's especially not good because homeboy's body cam conveniently died right as he got to the scene of the crime, where the screwdriver with the DNA was recovered, and it didn't get turned back on for the whole day. So here's this part.
Body cam footage that I reviewed appears to end while you're still on the roof. Do you know why that is?
I think the battery went dead. It was just right at that moment.
Okay. And do you know, did you ever turn it back on that day or go get it, I don't know, what do you have to do, charge it or stick a new battery in it? I don't even know.
Usually dock it, but no, I didn't go back. It was too chaotic.
So that's convenient. Baron Coleman did a good breakdown of this last night in his live stream. And apparently body cameras obviously are designed to last for many, many, many hours, like over 10. So no real explanation given in this trial so far, this hearing so far, about why the body camera didn't have any battery, why his body cam died specifically. That's concerning. That's not good. In this clip, the officer describes the series of events from him first witnessing the shot to then going down to the tent, scene of the crime, then traveling up to the Losi Center building. And in the middle of it all, he finds a holster, an empty holster for a handgun. And it's a little weird. This holster for the handgun is sort of a open question in the middle of this whole story now that is getting a little confusing.
Mr. Kirk was answering questions, talking to individuals.
Yes.
Were there others present?
Yes.
Any idea about approximately how many? How would you describe it in your terms?
In my terms, I'd say when I was up there looking down, I'd say there's several thousand people.
Did you see the reaction from the crowd?
Yes.
What was that?
Everybody kind of got up. They all said a lot of people were screaming, standing up, and starting to run in all different directions away from the center of the tent.
Okay. You're a police officer helping to secure the area, correct?
Yes.
What did you do?
At that moment, I recognized it as gunfire. I left my post, which was right there on the south end of the Hall of Flags. I proceeded to between right where the Fugal and the Hall of Flags meet. There's some outside stairs that I was starting to run down. As I was trying to get down to the bottom of the stairs, people were running up. People were laying down on the steps. I'm trying to jump over people to get to the bottom of the stairs so I can help stop an individual that's probably shooting. Because we had an individual in custody. Another officer came on and said we had an individual in custody. So I decided to, since the threat is gone, now I can assess for anybody that's injured and start looking for any medical needs that's needed at that.
So if you remember, George Zinn, decoy boy, famously gets himself arrested, drops his drawers, makes a huge scene, very weird and somewhat suspicious, extremely suspicious. He later had CP on his phone, and so he's locked away, can't talk to him. Candace pointed out that she had a source at the hospital that he went to where allegedly, according to the hospital staff, he told them that he was paid to do it, didn't know where the money was coming from. I can't corroborate that. I don't know if that's true or not. But that's where this officer is saying that they had someone in custody, so he assumed that the threat was over, so he looked around for medical emergencies. He finds someone having a seizure. It's no big deal.
Having a seizure that he was fine. He was not injured. So then at that moment, I observed that there was no other injuries that I could see at that moment.
Okay.
Effect of, I decided now we need to contain the scene and help preserve as much evidence as we can. So I started pushing people off the grass.
But not Terrell Farnsworth, who came directly into the tent and took the fucking memory cards out of the cameras. But obviously, whatever. There was not a lot of cops around, and whatever.
Out of the courtyard area, I looked down and saw an empty pistol holder that was sitting just on top of the grass.
I presume this is on the steps of the grass. We can see it in the video where after the scene is kind of cleared up, officers kind of find an item in the steps of the courtyard and they kind of deliberate over it for a second in the video that we have, like the Adam Bartholomew video. So I assume that's what we're talking about here.
And at that moment, things had died down just a split second. I realized that the shot I heard was more of a rifle shot and not a pistol shot.
So he realized minutes and minutes later, when he finds this pistol holster, that's when he realizes that it was a rifle shot, not a pistol shot.
And what causes you to say that?
Just from being around firearms through all my trainings, crackle sound. It's more of a violent kind of sound. It's
Kind of imprecise terminology. Rifles making crackle sounds,
longer,
but whatever.
so
Whatever.
that's why I recognized it.
Not a big deal.
Okay.
I assume that he knows the difference between a rifle and a pistol sound. It's not.
Is a rifle sound louder typically?
Yes.
Okay. Going back to when you heard this gunshot, could you tell where it came from? As far as direction?
Yes, I knew it came from the east of me.
From the east of you. Okay. So you see this realization comes to your mind. What did you do next?
At that moment when I saw the holster, the empty holster, I turned to my chief and I said, that was a rifle shot. And he said, I agree. And I looked up at that moment, right in the line of sight. I could see the Losi building had a direct line of sight. So I proceeded to go look at that and see what was going on up there.
And that's where, at some point along his journey to the Losi Center, he starts being accompanied by an unidentified man with a gun and a badge in plain clothes. Later, I believe in Nestor's cross-examination of him on this, it sort of gets elaborated that he doesn't know what happened to the holster. Nothing was done with it. Allegedly, I think according to him, they just left it there, which is super fucking weird. Obviously, you collect that and fingerprint it, and that's evidence, but whatever. So there is a holster that is confusing. Then Catherine Nestor made this one other interesting statement that everyone was kind of wondering about at the end of day one, that we got a lot more clarity on today in day two, that I want to just bring up real quick.
Some types of guns, when they shoot, eject a casing automatically, right? Some
Yes.
do, some don't.
Yes.
Right. And then you also didn't find any unshot bullets.
No.
Okay. Are you aware of there being a bullet found on another roof
I'm not aware.
vicinity? Were you aware of another bullet being found on the scene, not on the roof of the Losi building?
I know.
See how those are kind of leading questions? It sounded to everyone like there was a bullet found somewhere and she was intentionally asking about it, right? Which we have not heard about. No one's heard about another bullet found anywhere. There's no bullets anywhere. Except allegedly Tyler Robinson was engraving trans stuff into his bullets, which we've also never had confirmed in any way. So this really got everyone's attention. But it wasn't that, to be clear, that does not mean that a bullet was found. That was her just asking if he was aware of a bullet being found, and he said no. But it got people to wondering, and today we got a lot more clarity. There were a lot of other good moments on day one, but those are the ones I want to cover. And we'll come back to Barron assessing one important thing from day one in just a second. But first, about this bullet.
And that building was the Losi building.
Correct.
Wasn't there?
So this witness from day two, this witness is the lead investigator for the State Bureau of Investigation, like the Utah State FBI. So this is his case, and he no longer is with the State Bureau of Investigation as of March of this year, but he basically was the lead investigator on the whole case, along with one other co-lead, for the essential body of the case. So this guy is the authority on the case, and he should know pretty much everything, just to clarify. So when you see the funny haircut with the sort of weird accent, that's who we're talking about, the lead investigator for the State Bureau of Investigation.
There also a bullet found on another building?
I believe an unfired bullet had been found on another building at some point during my time there on September 10th. Yeah.
So, whoa, dude, hold up. There was an unfired bullet, not just a casing, not a spent casing, but an unfired bullet found on another rooftop on September 10th. And no one thought to mention that? That never got brought up? Because obviously, you need a fucking explanation for that. Bullets don't just jump onto rooftops out of nowhere, especially on college campuses, especially at the scene of a murder investigation. Obviously, that bullet had to get there somehow. Then the explanation of how maybe that bullet got there is given, and it's even fucking weirder.
Which building was that, sir?
I don't recall.
Was that considered a scene that was worth preserving?
It was not. My recollection is that that was accounted for as an ejected cartridge from an officer who had cycled his rifle.
They're going to go into this a little bit more in a second here. But what he just said is it was accounted for as a cartridge that was ejected from a police officer's rifle when he cycled. Meaning, apparently, there was police officers on rooftops with long guns, with rifles, allegedly. We have no knowledge of that. There's no reason to believe what, like, A, they already had someone in custody right away, George Zinn, on the day of. And then B, once they determined that it wasn't George Zinn, there was no shooting going on. The campus was clear. So why would there even be police officers on other rooftops with rifles? It's not like we're sniping the scene. So even to have police officers on other rooftops with loaded rifles is a little weird. But then the cycling of a rifle to eject a unfired rifle round onto a rooftop on this college campus that is the scene of a crime, and then to leave it there on the ground is absolutely retarded.
Okay, I thought you said it was an unfired bullet, and now you're saying it was a
that's correct.
cartridge?
When a weapon is cleared, an officer would make his rifle ready, which would chamber around.
Oh, I got you.
My understanding was that that's how that was accounted for.
So an officer claimed that bullet belonged to him or her?
That's my recollection, is that was how it was accounted for.
That was how it was accounted for. Pretty soft and vague language about a very suspicious and important detail. And I just wanted to clip Nate's response to this, Valhalla VFT's response to this when they were watching live and this happened. Because Nate, if you don't know, is an ex-Green Beret, so former Special Forces in the military. And he trains police officers, specifically. So his opinion is, somewhat expert at whether this is a reasonable explanation.
This is a Utah-specific thing, but
let's clear something up so everybody understands what he said there. Maybe this is a Utah-specific thing, but I promise you, every law enforcement officer in the chat just fucking cringed when that guy said they don't carry chambered rounds, and after they're done with the scene, they take their gun out, take the magazine out, and clear their weapon and put it back in while they're out in the civilian populace. 0% chance that is done anywhere. Okay, officers are going to carry a chambered weapon in case they need to use that gun to defend themselves, and they are not going to be fucking with it out in public. Not a thing. So I don't know. Maybe that's a very specific thing to Utah, but in any other,
I'm looking at
anywhere else you look, law enforcement officers are going to tell you bullshit on that. 0% chance that he's clearing his weapon and rounds are falling out. No. And I train law enforcement officers in departments and sheriff departments and SWAT teams. That is not a thing, homies.
And if they cleared it, they wouldn't leave it.
No, 0% chance. A cop's just going to leave his fucking bullets lying around. Because think about this, guys.
Yeah.
His fingerprints are now on a round that if somebody walks by and says, look at that 9mm round, I could throw that in my Glock and I can go kill somebody with it. Guess what? That's a cop who just killed somebody. Yeah. So not a thing. Not a fucking thing. I don't know what that was, but that was oof. Anyway.
So pretty straightforward explanation of how that is not a fucking thing. That is no way to account for an unfired bullet, rifle bullet, being found on another rooftop, which we don't know what rooftop it was. I'd be very curious if it was the Sorensen Center, by the way. I'm sure that there's a couple of us out here that would be very curious what fucking rooftop that was. So that's a weird detail that we did not have before that does not strengthen this case at all, because obviously the person being identified as Tyler Robinson that they have all this footage of moving around the campus that we're going to watch in a second here, obviously they tracked that guy and he didn't go on any other rooftops. So obviously his rifle that allegedly was stuffed down his pants, which we're going to examine in a second, obviously that rifle and that person never went on another rooftop to eject a cartridge. So there is no other explanations for how a bullet got onto another rooftop, except for maybe if there was like another shooter somewhere, that would be sort of fucking relevant. But they explain it away as an officer just clearing his chamber on the rifle that he had on the rooftop because he was trying to snipe people, I guess, after the scene was already handled. And he just decided to leave that bullet on the fucking ground. That is very concerning to me. But before we get to all the juicy stuff from day 2 and the extra people that were in Tyler Robinson's car, the bald driver of Tyler Robinson's car, the actual footage review of the shot being completely not on camera, and all that stuff. I want to just quickly grab this clip from Barron's podcast last night where he said something really, really important about Judge Graff that I think is really interesting. It's a 4-minute clip. We might kind of skip through it a little bit.
Judge Tony Graff has gotten a lot of grief, and a lot of people think he's just a little too buddy-buddy with the prosecution, rules a little too harshly against the criminal defendant. I did not find that today. And granted, it's just day one. I didn't watch all of it, but I thought he was fairly neutral. He may have given a little latitude to the prosecution. He did rule against them when it was particularly egregious one time. So that was it.
So then he shows this clip that has been going around of Judge Graff watching the actual footage of Charlie being shot. On the screen, he's, for the first time in this trial, watching graphic footage of the moment that Charlie gets shot in the neck. Probably in like 4K from the official Turning Point cameras that were pointing at Charlie. So it's pretty intense. And this was his response. Just watch
his reaction when it happens. And then I'll raise a question, but I want you to watch it first. You'll know when it happens. There.
Right there.
So that was it. And you can see he's clearly disturbed. I mean, those were involuntary movements of his seat, sitting up, sitting back. And then his eyes, he had that 1,000-yard stare afterwards. I want you guys to go back to the first time you saw it, because I don't know that he had seen it before. I want you to go back to the first time you'd seen it. I made a bigger reaction than that. But it gave me insight into this judge. If that truly was the first time he'd seen it, or he hadn't seen it very often, and it truly shocked him to the core, and that wasn't just good acting, and it didn't look like good acting. It looked like it was the first time he'd seen it.
Yeah.
Props to the judge for not doing what we tell everyone not to do when they immediately go out and do. You swear in a jury, and the judge says, all right, you guys are now the jury. Do not look at anything in this case. Don't go on the internet. Don't read the local newspapers. Don't watch the local news. You're only going to hear about this case inside this courtroom. And the first thing they do at break, you can watch them. They're all on their phones looking up Twitter and Facebook and local news coverage and message board. I mean, it's human nature. It's human nature. You want to know as much as possible. There's always this FOMO. There's got to be information they're not letting us have. It doesn't look like the judge did that in this case.
And that's a really good thing. That's super cool. That's good to see, because that seems almost impossible to achieve. Like in today's day and age, I couldn't have possibly avoided seeing Charlie's actual moment of death like over and over and over. And it kind of seems like the judge did, which is very cool. On to day 2 and all the big reveals, because day 2 has been much more substantive. They're on lunch break right now. They're just finishing lunch break. So I might make another update at the end of this video with what happens in the afternoon. We'll see how it goes. But the morning of day 2 was jam-packed. And one of the first most significant things that they did was they showed in the courtroom on a side screen that the media was allowed to film, they showed the video compilation that had been a big thing in day 1, where they wanted to introduce this video compilation of tracking allegedly Tyler Robinson's, this person in maroon shirt and then the black shirt, tracking his movements around the campus and onto the roof and then off the campus, which pretty much is all footage that we've all seen. We were all wondering if they had more footage, which they have higher quality footage, but not more footage really, for the most part. And they made a compilation and they did some zoom ins and say added some like circles and highlighting to sort of like help you see it. And that was not allowed on day 1. It was like, you're not allowed to present edited footage. Sorry. And that's a good call. No edited footage. If it was edited in good faith, honestly, it would have been helpful, because now I'm going to do the same edits that they did to try to make it easier to see. And it's not going to help their fucking case, honestly. Zooming in on it, not going to help their case. But what we have now, because today they re-prepared the videos so that they're not edited, they're just compiled together. And we got to see them by the media panning and filming the side screen. So our view is not great. It's not the original like raw footage, but we can see what they've got. So we're not going to watch the whole video. We're going to kind of pan through and make some points.
Put it on all screens.
But you can see how they're zooming in on the side screen, and this is our view, is just the media filming this TV screen.
May be published to the screens.
Department of Motor Vehicle Records, the vehicle fits. Yes.
Oh, here they're describing how they identified the vehicle.
That was provided regards to driver's license and Department of Motor Vehicle records, the vehicle fits the description of a vehicle owned by Mr. Robinson.
Is there anything unique about that vehicle that stands out to you?
The shape of the vehicle is very distinct, but predominantly the wheels were very distinctive on this version of the vehicle.
So it happens many, many times throughout the various parts of the transcripts, but they never say they're identifying the vehicle based on its license plate or anything like that. It's always the shape of the vehicle and the wheels. And it's just a Dodge Charger. I mean, I'm no Charger expert, but it's just Dodge Charger.
Now what do we see?
So it's a little imprecise, but
foot back to
don't need to be super picky about it. This is where they show the car pulling in with his very distinctive wheels.
September 10th.
I don't know. You tell me how distinctive those wheels are.
2025.
But they show Tyler Robinson entering.
I believe that's Tyler Robinson.
Allegedly Tyler Robinson.
Right, where does he go from there?
So this is all footage that we sort of had screenshots from before. We've never seen the video footage. And it's in pretty high definition as it's presented here in the courtroom. We don't have a good high definition feed of it.
He heads out of the parking garage on foot into the campus and actually goes to the quad area of the campus. At that time, he makes contact with some representatives from TPUSA.
By quad.
That was a new detail that came out in the trial, is that he apparently first thing in the morning, the timestamp up there is 9:24 a.m. He parks in the parking garage, which, by the way, is a key pass gated parking garage. The general public can't drive into that parking garage, so I don't know how he got into it. But he gets into the parking garage, parks his Dodge Charger, and then walks in and allegedly meets with someone from TPUSA. I presume that they're not saying that he had a secret meeting. I presume they're just saying that he walked into the event area and asked someone some questions or something about the event. I assume that's what they mean. It's not like some nefarious meeting or something.
Sorry, the amphitheater is what I previously referred it to.
Right.
Then they show him coming back.
Campus, visits the.
They have a brief conversation about what he did on campus, even though they don't show footage of it.
The amphitheater area, the courtyard or quad.
Correct.
And then what do we see here now?
He returns on foot back to the same vehicle.
And what time is he returning back to the vehicle?
Then the vehicle exits.
The parking structure.
Yes.
So then this is the part where he now goes and parks off in the neighborhoods, and then he walks back into campus. Again, wearing his shorts and all that. So this is the walk onto campus where we got the TMZ video from the camera showing this guy in the red shirt walking through the neighborhood and everything. This is sort of like what we already knew about.
And he's carrying a blue backpack.
Describe the clothing.
It's a maroon colored t-shirt with...
And we can generally trace this figure, this maroon t-shirt guy, back through the neighborhood on various cameras that we have footage from. We can basically trace him back all the way back to the neighborhoods to at least having seen the gray Charger as well out in those neighborhoods around timing where he starts walking. It's pretty easy to tie this maroon shirt person to the Charger, both in the parking garage and then again out in the neighborhoods when he goes out there and walks in this way.
Gray or olive colored shorts and then Converse shoes.
Then this is him exiting.
And purchased some food, sat and ate the food.
Okay, we get a new food
track
stop.
His movements on campus. He went to Chick-fil-A in the Sorensen building and purchased some food, sat and ate the food. Then,
so it's interesting, right, that he apparently went to the Sorensen building and purchased and ate some food. So there's all these other places where we would get different camera angles that might show his face better. Like maybe when he's eating food, maybe when he's ordering food, I bet there's security footage right above the cash register of the fucking customers. We don't see any of that footage. I'm curious what all that footage would show, but they just gloss right over it and only show us the footage from his entrance and exit. That's basically the stuff we've already seen, where his face is completely impossible to make
in the
out.
Sorensen Center.
And where is that in relation to the amphitheater?
So now we've got Chick-fil-A, then we've got Dairy Queen, then we've got barbecue later.
Side of the amphitheater.
Just eating a lot of food. It's hungry work being a patsy.
On the upper back edge of the amphitheater, the east side of campus.
Then we get to black shirt guy with jeans on that is allegedly the same person, though there's no clear evidence given to corroborate that it is the same person. There's nothing tying one person to the other than that they appear to be the same person and that they're telling us it's the same person. But it's not like we have not seen black shirt guy with the vehicle. We haven't seen maroon shirt guy change into black shirt clothes. We don't have any way to tie black shirt guy to maroon shirt guy other than circumstantial. They say so, just to clarify. And now comes the limp and the skinny jeans that apparently are holding a disassembled Mauser rifle. So his left leg obviously bends a lot. It's this right leg that we're being told has the rifle in it. And honestly, this is the best frame I've seen so far. I can't really zoom in my QuickTime player any better. Maybe we'll try to zoom in on this part in the video we watch in a second. But honestly, right here, this is the closest I've seen to something that looks like a straight object in his pants at all during this whole process so far.
Why? Well, let me ask you
because the claim is that he has a rifle down this leg of his pants. That's the claim.
I do, yes.
Okay. And why do you believe it's Mr. Robinson?
The shoes are the same, and the images that we have from my view.
So now the belief is that the right pant leg contains the rifle.
And seeing Mr. Robinson on the video, it's the same person.
He's noticeably wearing different clothing.
This is at 11:55 a.m.
And he also is walking with a gait or a limp in this video.
With a gait.
But wait a minute.
From my viewing,
so again,
seeing Mr. Robinson
suspect's
on the video,
left leg bends,
the same person.
right leg stays straight.
He's noticeably wearing different clothing.
He is wearing different clothing, and he also is walking with a gait
again,
or a limp
right
in
leg
this
staying
video.
straight.
With a gait or what?
A limp.
Okay. Now what do we see?
There's Mr. Robinson coming up the stairs of the parking structure. Again, he seems to be having issues walking.
Keeping his face hidden. So this is where we got the still frames that were released the day of. This is where they come from, is this video. And seeing the video, honestly, makes me more open to the argument that there's something down those pant legs, possibly. Like this, seeing this video, I think it doesn't strengthen, like it doesn't do a whole lot to me, to my perspective. But it doesn't like strengthen the idea that it's totally debunked that this person had something in his pants legs. Because seeing it in motion is a little more clear than still images.
And again, we're able to track Mr. Robinson when he leaves this parking structure.
Yes, we were.
Wait, what? Now it seems to be the right leg is bending and the left leg is straight.
When he leaves this parking structure.
Yes.
Right? Now his right leg is the one bending and his left leg is straight. Or supposed to be straight. That's like his limping leg.
We were
now.
able to.
Okay. So when he leaves the parking structure.
Am I crazy here, guys? I'm contradicting what I just said. I just said that the video makes me willing to admit that maybe there is something in his pants legs. Because watching him walk with that, right leg limp is pretty consistent throughout this whole first clip when he's walking up the stairs and up into the thing. But then they include this other clip at the end where the limp seems to have switched legs.
Mr. Robinson.
So there was right leg was stiff, left leg was bending, and
when
now
he leaves this parking structure.
Clearly right leg is the one bending and left leg feels stiff. And I have to point out that this is in a moment where he might not realize there's a camera behind him because he's kind of getting out of the stairwell. So, I mean, this is 11:56. So this is still when he's supposed to have the same gun and the same pant leg. And it definitely, the limp is significantly different in this clip, different leg than in the other clip.
Yes, we were able to.
Like that last piece right there.
And again, we're able to track Mr.
Right
Robinson,
leg straight.
When he leaves this parking structure.
Yes, we were.
Right
able
leg
to.
bending as hell, left leg straight.
So when he leaves the parking structure, where does
So what the fuck? What the fuck? But that's not even the part I wanted to talk about. I just got distracted. I literally just kind of analyzed that in depth for the first time right now. Now what I want to do is, because the court didn't let them submit the zoomed in version of this footage, what they show in court is just totally zoomed out. So you literally can't see fucking anything. Nothing at all. And that's probably why they wanted to zoom in, is because this footage is not in any way proof of anything happening. You really can't even necessarily assert that there's a person on the roof until he's over here jumping off. This is basically the footage that the FBI released already way back when the crime happened, with the addition of now they show him entering the crime scene, and they show him like walking through here, and then they show one more angle. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my video editing software where I can zoom the fuck in. And we're going to get zoomed in big time. Because ultimately, it's not helpful to see it at full zoom out. It's just, there's literally nothing on the screen. But I'm in Final Cut Pro here, and I'm just showing you, this is the actual clip in Final Cut Pro. I have made no edits to it whatsoever, other than just zooming it way in on the various portions of each of these clips. So let's just examine.
This is an image looking across the parking lot to the Losi building.
So the shooter perch is over here right above my head. The place where the suspect jumps down is off screen to the bottom right, down like here below me. This over here is the stairwell that you walk up to get onto this platform, where you can then cross the little barrier right here, and then you're on the roof, and the shooting position over here. And there's two ways to get from Tyler Robinson, allegedly. He was walking into the scene right here, and then there's a doorway right here that is a campus, like into the building, and you can go straight through here and out the other side and up the stairs, or there's a doorway down that way at this end of the stairwell, or rather, sorry, this end of this hallway that's off screen, that you can also go in and through. So it's not totally clear which doorway the suspect went through, but he apparently in this clip is about to come up the stairs.
And Mr. Robinson is appearing
Right
on
here.
the exterior staircase, which gives access to
those pixels,
the Losi building roof and the
you
area
see those
where the railing
pixels?
was.
And again, let's break that image into
See these
into
pixels?
quadrants. Where would
you see
be
that
located
person
if
right
you broke
there?
it into quadrants?
It's in the top right, and
That person
the
right
individual
there?
can be seen
You see it?
moving under the notations that are on the video.
This right here is the video of the suspect. Can you see it? Is that right there?
And what time is this?
It's just afternoon, about 12:15.
On what day?
So there's
On
the suspect
December-
clambering over the
December-
railing.
September 10th, 2025.
And it's worth noting, took me a second to figure this out. It's worth noting that in the actual footage,
You go.
so 12:15, and then it jumps to
And what time is this?
12:17, right there.
It's just afternoon, about 12:15.
On what day?
On December.
So it's still a compilation. They're still editing together different clips, and then it jumps again in a second here.
December. September 10th, 2025.
What just happened, or what did we just see happen?
The individual actually kind of
12:22
rolls.
So they cut 5 minutes out right around the time that the individual rolls over onto like the actual roof proper, which is important to realize. If you don't realize that, it's even more suspicious. But they cut 5 minutes out, and then this is the footage that we see.
What just happened, or what did we just see happen?
The individual actually kind of
that was
rolls
the cut.
over the railing.
And now here's the individual running out onto the roof. So what we can learn from that is that basically there was 5 minutes, give or take, where the suspect had gotten onto the roof and was like hiding by the little bit like retainer wall, allegedly assembling the rifle. Although in the initial charging documents, they said he changed his clothes on the roof too, which obviously does not fit their current narrative. So there is some huge discrepancy between the initial charging documents and what we're now is like the actual case. That's fine. It's okay, I guess, I think. But it's 5 minutes to assemble the rifle, basically. That's the story, because the rifle's in the pants, and now the rifle's ready to go. And they cut 5 minutes out of the footage, so that's all they had.
Onto the roof of the Losi building.
All right.
It actually seems to freeze for a second, and the pixels just stay there for a moment, and then pixels keep
again,
moving.
in the top left corner, the individual is now seen.
And then
running
pixels
across
keep
the
moving,
rooftop of the Losi building to what would be the southwest corner.
And then the pixels are just over there. But notice that like there's pixels moving here.
The building.
Smoke maybe? I don't know. So there's just pixels.
And this is at what time?
Over there.
Around 12:23. I think the timestamp on the video is 12:22.
On the 10th.
On September 10th, yes. 2025.
So we're clear. This is the roof of the Losi building.
Correct.
And you're watching
Can you still
the
see
assassination of the decade.
Yes, you can, laying prone.
Yeah, you can tell that he's laying prone right there, can't you? Can't you see that he got prone and then crawled into position and then set up his shot? Whatever's going on with these pixels up here, apparently they can tell that he lies down, crawls up to the position, sets up the shot and takes it there, and then runs away. And it kind of came out in another part of the testimony that basically he set up the shot within about 30 seconds, give or take, which is a very fast time to set up a shot. But I'm no sniper. Neither is Tyler Robinson. But make of that what you will.
You believe this to be Mr. Robinson?
I'm sorry?
You believe this to be Mr. Robinson?
I do, yes.
Yeah, whatever this is, I believe this to be Mr. Robinson, wherever it is, whatever pixels we're talking about.
How long is he out there on the edge of the building?
Just until the reported shot was fired at 12:23 and 28. Individual then stands up and then moves across the building to the...
So that's where it kind of comes out that it's like, well, he's only there until the shot is reportedly fired. So he's really only there for 30 seconds or so. And then he stands up, and then we see the pixels running.
It is, yes.
And this is the part that was already released by the FBI.
The atrium area on the rooftop to the northeast corner where the white triangle is.
And then we've seen the part where homie jumps down.
Now?
I do, yes. He's just arriving at the corner of the building.
It's a little sus that they actually refer to him as Mr. Robinson the whole time and speak as though it's settled science that it's Tyler Robinson. That's a little sus to me.
He then crosses Campus Drive.
This is a new angle that we didn't have before.
It's 12:24 and 42 on the timestamp.
What do we see now?
So I guess these pixels here behind this
drops
tree.
Down into the wooded area on the far side of Campus Drive.
Honestly, we don't even see him drop down into the wooded area.
And that is located in what part of the video?
Yeah, we don't see him drop down into the wooded area at all, but whatever. And then they also add some footage from the night. This is apparently the gray
intersection
Charger.
of Campus Drive and 800 South.
And
there's a vehicle attempting to.
And they just
it's
basically
on the left side on the upper
right there.
side, the upper quadrant.
And then the car just drives past and
now what do we see?
Not super clear. This is
now pulling away
6:36
and
p.m.
heading east on 800 South.
UTC. So that's the new version of the footage that they released in court today, and it doesn't help at all. So just to clarify, in case it wasn't clear from the video footage, here it is in plain language spoken by the actual prosecution.
Shows the defendant walking around the UVU campus qualifies.
Thank you. Anything further?
Judge, from the state, no, but I think I'd like to be crystal clear. You asked if there's any portion of this video that captures, and I believe you asked of the actual shooting. There's no video of that. There is video, however, and you've heard testimony related to this, where the shooter goes to the top of the Losi building, goes out to the edge of the building, low crawls, and then leaves after what we assume is the shot being fired.
So just to make sure you didn't miss that, the judge had asked before they showed the footage, is there footage of the actual shooting? The prosecution explicitly says, no, there is no footage of the actual shooting. But there is what you're about to see, what we just watched. There is footage of him getting onto the roof, going out, low crawling into position, and then getting up and running away. And we presume that the shot happened there in the middle. So in case it wasn't clear, prosecution is clear that that's not footage of a shooting. That's footage of some pixels that you can interpret however you want. This is Catherine Nestor cross-examining the lead investigator for the State Bureau of Investigations about the video.
All right, now I want to go back to the videos that we've seen and the question that I just asked before, which is it fair to say that nothing about the video of the individual on the roof revealed to you, you couldn't see facial features, you couldn't see what they were wearing, correct?
Of the individual on the roof?
Correct.
I know that there was a meeting to discuss perhaps a pattern on the front of the shirt that was observed when the individual was jumping off of the roof.
Okay, that's fair. But at that time, as of the 11th, before Mr. Robinson turned himself in, you all had not been able to determine that, is that right?
Excuse me. Determine who he was or
No,
determine distinguishing features?
Determine distinguishing features of the video
Yeah.
of the person on the roof.
Yes, we had a person of interest and those images were released to the press.
You're talking about the ones in the stairwell from the...
Correct.
From the parking garage.
Correct.
But the video on the roof was not distinguishable, fair?
That video as a standalone?
Yes.
It was not, no.
So they're just kind of going back and forth. She's establishing precedent. She's getting her points in, which is just legal precedent. But she's pointing out that until Tyler Robinson turned himself in, y'all had no fucking clue who he was. And that pretty well got laid out, that they didn't know who they were looking for until he just walked in and turned himself in. And furthermore, she's clarifying that the video on the roof, you have no fucking clue who that is, which is, pretty obvious. So then they get into some discussion of the fact that he's jumping down with this rifle and allegedly walking around with a fully assembled rifle. They get into some discussion about whether you can tell it's a rifle when the person jumps down in the video, and it doesn't look like one. And this guy just has to keep saying object because it's obviously, we don't know if it's a rifle. It's an object, a long object. It could be a rifle. So she pressed him on that a fair bit to kind of clarify that it's like, you have no fucking clue if that's a rifle, dude. We still don't have any footage of this person, of Tyler Robinson, of anyone holding a rifle anywhere on UVU, anywhere on campus. There is no footage of any guns anywhere. There is a bullet being found on another roof now that is mysterious and washed right over.
How long he was prone,
Right.
I think it took, I would estimate, between...
On the roof? Okay.
So here's where she presses him on how long he might have had to set up the shot.
Also, when you were revealing the timeline, exactly how long was there between when the person was prone on the roof and when the shot was taken? Do you recall?
If you would like to replay the video, I can time it for you, but I don't recall. It was, my guess, I would estimate between 15 and 30 seconds.
So that means between 15 and 30 seconds for an amateur to crawl into position, crawl all the way up to the spot, get zeroed in, pick his shot, take a deep breath, take the shot, jump up and run away. Bro's a quick shot, a real quick shot.
So between 15 and 30 seconds to lay flat, take a shot, and get up and run off.
I'd be curious how long it takes Matt Tardio to get into position and take a shot on his belly. I'd be curious if esteemed military personnel online that are shilling the Fed narrative, I'd be curious how long it takes them to get into position and take a solid shot that they cannot miss, by the way.
Right?
I think you asked how long he was prone.
Right.
I think it took longer for him to crawl into position.
Okay.
And then establish a position and then take the shot. He appeared to be in prone for approximately 15 to 30 seconds, but the video would verify that.
Okay. Thank you.
So again, that's the total time for him to get prone, crawl into position, and then set up his shot and take it.
Footage.
Okay. But were there other angles that are not shown here in this prelim?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was trying to get to. Thank you. Were you involved when the gun was located in the forest area?
I was not involved in the search for the gun, no.
Did you get notice when it was located?
From the footage that we reviewed, we identified an area that we believed could be potentially of evidentiary value, and then it was secured, and then I was notified that as a result of that search, a gun had been located, yes.
Were you involved in the processing of that gun? In other words,
I was
boxing it, shipping it, sending it wherever it was going to go to be
I was
analyzed?
not, no.
Okay, thank you. All right, now I want to shift to the autopsy for just a moment. You were not present at the autopsy, is that right?
I was not.
Okay. So anything you know about the autopsy was not from personal observation?
No, other than from my meeting with the medical examiner and his report. No, I was not present.
Did you meet with the medical examiner after he had conducted the autopsy?
I did, yes.
And when you met with him, did you provide him information about what you all had learned in your investigation so far?
We didn't have any reason to provide any investigative information to him. The purpose of the meeting was to establish what information he could provide to us.
Well, in fact, on the front page of the medical examiner's report, he talks about the investigation and information he learned. Did he learn that from you, or did he learn it from someone else?
It would be my recollection that he did not learn that from us, but I couldn't speak to how he did learn about it.
Okay, so you didn't share with him your conclusions about what happened or how Mr. Kirk was injured or anything like that?
That's my recollection.
Okay, thank you. And isn't it also true that fingerprints that were taken from Mr. Kirk and autopsy photos were provided to you on a CD?
Yes.
Was there anything else provided to you from the autopsy other than that?
Other than the CD and the report?
Yes.
Not to me, no.
You did mention not to you. Were you aware of anything else from the autopsy going to anyone else?
So this part's interesting, and I don't know what to make of it. I'd be curious what you guys make of this part.
I believe standard practice is anything of evidentiary value that the medical examiner collects is transferred through a chain of custody.
And are you aware of anything that was transferred after Mr. Kirk's autopsy?
I'm aware that there were items transferred for evidence, yes.
What items?
I believe some fragments of a bullet casing.
So I assume that he means fragments of a bullet, not a bullet casing. Because like the casing is not the thing that shoots into the body. So I assume he's just misspeaking and that he's referring to fragments of a bullet that were recovered from Charlie's magical steel neck. I'm assuming it's a misspeak because fragments of a casing would be very fucking weird. That wouldn't make any sense. So now we get to the part where there's just a bald guy driving Tyler Robinson's car with a bunch of other people in the car the night after the crime. When this part is just like, what the fuck are we glossing over here?
Now, I'd like to talk a little bit about the Ring camera that you obtained. And you interviewed a woman named Ms. Noble, is that right? To get that Ring camera that we watched with the car on the outside?
We interviewed her to verify the authenticity of the video, yes.
So they are about to talk about this report about the interview with Miss Noble, who is the owner of the home with the Ring camera that captured allegedly Tyler Robinson's car pulling up multiple times, I believe. But this is about when it pulled up in the middle of the night, I'm pretty sure.
And do you remember that the Nobles told you that the driver of the vehicle was bald?
I do remember that being in the report, yes.
And you didn't mention that today when you were talking about that Ring camera, did you?
I did not.
It's an interesting thing to leave out of your discussion of the whole situation now, isn't it? If the driver of the car that we were already discussing was fucking bald, maybe that would be a little bit relevant to the case about the kid with brown hair murdering someone. Okay, bud. A little concerning.
And did they also tell you there were 3 other people in the car?
Yes, I believe they thought that was the case.
So there was a bald guy driving Tyler Robinson's car with 3 other people in the car the night of the shooting. And that's been in the report all along. And they knew that all along. And he avoided mentioning it on first examination by the prosecution. I don't, honestly, knowing what we know outside of the courtroom, I honestly don't know how to square this, because the story is that Tyler Robinson was driving around that night there trying to get the rifle back, couldn't. He wound up at Dairy Queen that evening for a little bit. We know that. We have video of his car in a couple different parking lots, but not in the middle of the night. We don't necessarily know what his car did in the middle of the night until apparently now. But then my recollection is that then he was spotted like the next day down south having dinner at having food at the barbecue place the next day, getting gas down like near his own hometown. I forget. Someone else that's more clear on that remembers that shit better. I would be curious, because it sounds like they're saying that a bald person with 3 buddies just used his car for a little bit in the middle of the night while he was on the run from an international manhunt. This does not square. This part does not make any fucking sense, and they just gloss right over it. Okay. Yeah. And to be clear, it's not her job to like solve the case here on the stand right now in the preliminary hearing.
I want to go back, if I can, to the scene itself, the preservation of the actual scene where Mr. Kirk passed.
This part's good too.
Did you all have canine dogs at any point that sniffed that area?
The canine dogs. You remember how Candace broke the news that they had gun dogs that did not locate the gun, that did not locate the stashed gun over by the chicken coop? And the whole TPUSA Fed slop right was like, you're lying. Well, trust me, bro, source. Like, Candace always lies. Well, this would seem to be them discussing those dogs in the courtroom.
I don't know specifically that area, but I do know that canines were present, or a canine was present on the day.
So canines were present.
But you don't know what task the canine was given?
My understanding was that it may have been used in an effort to track an individual that had jumped off the roof, but I don't know for certain.
And obviously that didn't produce any results, or we would have heard about that, right?
Yeah, not that I was made aware of.
So to be fair, it's not explicitly stated that the canines that they used were trained for gunpowder. You'd think that if you're trying to track a suspect that just fired a rifle, you would be using canines that can smell gunpowder, I would assume. But that's pretty much the officer right there corroborating Candace's tip that the dogs, didn't find the gun. The gun was found later. So, again, Candace doing more to solve this case than the fucking FBI. And then the pave over. The old pave over. The old shucks, my crime scene just got dug up and sent to the dump, and now there's paving stones over it. Oh, gee willikers, I guess I can't look for explosive residue on the ground. Shucks. Yeah, let's see what they had to say about the pavers.
At least a couple of days, if not longer than that, before anything was removed from the scene.
You didn't have to give permission to remove the tent?
Me, personally?
Right.
No.
So you're not sure when it was removed?
No.
And were you involved in the decision to pave over the dirt that was under the tent?
At UVU?
Uh-huh.
No.
Did you know that happened?
Only because it was in the news.
All right. But you don't know when or who ordered that?
Nope.
That's a pretty fucking nonchalant nope from the lead investigator. Like, let's just clarify what just happened. This is the lead investigator on the highest profile assassination in decades. His crime scene that he is in charge of gets dug up by fucking excavators like 4 days after the crime. And then paving stones get laid down on his crime scene. And he doesn't know who authorized it. He doesn't know anything about it. He didn't have to authorize it. It's no big deal. Nope. Fucking excuse me, bro? Excuse me? That's not concerning to anybody? That the lead officer learned that his own crime scene got fucking paved over? He learned that from the news? Listen, I'm no lead investigator, but I'm just going to go out on a limb and assume that maybe when someone gets shot in a giant high-profile assassination, maybe you should be preserving the location of that shooting for more than 3 days. Maybe until you test things like, is there gunshot residue at the scene of the crime in the grass somewhere? Is there maybe explosive residue? Are there fragments of anything in the grass? Is there anything else suspicious? Is there maybe, for example, at Daly Plaza, a little chipped off piece of concrete where another bullet fucking hit the cement? And if you pave over this crime scene, you'll never know that more than one bullet was fired at JFK because there's clear evidence of bullets that weren't the one that hit him. But it's no big deal if you pave over the crime scene 3-4 days later or whatever, apparently. He had no idea it even happened. That's super fucking weird. I mean, to me, that seems super weird. Call me a panickin, whatever you want to say. His haircut doesn't seem bothered at all by it.
And it's true that during the time before Mr. Robinson turned himself in, you all received lots and lots of tips from the public. Is that fair?
Correct.
You received tips of death threats that Mr. Kirk, understanding that the individual they used to facilitate Mr. Robinson turning himself in was someone known to Mr. Robinson personally that had been connected to law enforcement.
I know he was known to the family. I don't know his connection specifically with Mr. Robinson, but I am aware that someone was used to facilitate Mr. Robinson turning himself in.
And were you aware that he was one of his Boy Scout leaders? Did you know that?
I think I had heard that at some point. There was a connection. I don't recall specifically what it was.
And Mr. Robinson, in fact, no police went to go arrest him. He drove himself, or he was driven with his parents to the Washington County Sheriff's Department, correct?
That's my understanding, yes.
And he voluntarily walked in.
That's also my understanding, yes.
But the footage is gone, conspicuously.
That was the first moment you ever knew his name connected with this case.
Yeah, aside from the image that we had, that was the first
The image was not his name.
time that we had a name of an individual who had taken responsibility, yes.
That is most of the clips. There's more, but that's most of the clips of new stuff, surprising stuff that I thought was important or interesting. It's still ongoing. A lot more will come out. A lot of opinions will be shared online. There's a lot of screeching right now. The bots are in full effect. The Fed sloppers are all out there screaming about how evil someone like me is for even thinking with my brain about anything. Don't think. Just accept the party line. Don't believe your eyes or ears. Those pixels were for sure Tyler Robinson. And hey, maybe they were. But I am still very, very skeptical of the even most remote possibility that a 30-06 could cause the wound that we saw on Charlie's neck. And I feel like I want to just remind us all why I'm skeptical of that. So I'm just going to rapid play a couple of clips from a couple of the various people that have tested this shit out of what 30-06s do on impact.
So, as you can see, the cow neck vertebrae stood no chance. This is a cow femur.
No exit wound? Yeah, no blood splatter.
Where Brian hit that directly in the center.
A bone significantly stronger and thicker than Charlie's spine. A bunch of meat significantly thicker and stronger than the front of Charlie's neck. Tape for skin, significantly strong. This is from one of the old videos back when I shit on Nick Fuentes for saying that it was Tyler Robinson than Charlie's skin. Notice how Nick never talks about any of this anymore. It's kind of weird. So then they shoot steel plate.
Clean through 1/4 inch steel. Clean through 3/8 inch steel and 1/2 inch steel. Almost, or actually it potentially did actually blow out the side.
So steel, no match. Chris Martinson did significant testing, more scientific than anybody else, where he recorded all of his different variables and recorded all of his different tests and did a bunch of them, like 30, 40, 50 different tests.
Board and into the cinder block. And by the way, it pushes and shoves that whole cinder block backwards.
So here Chris Martinson is shooting a bone-in roast with a plywood wall behind it, with a cinder block behind it.
Here to backstop it, because I just said, can anything stop these rounds?
It went through the cinder block.
Wow.
Through the first wall of the cinder block.
Great camera. So glad.
So it went through the roast, through the wooden wall, through the first wall of the cinder block, and then it stopped at the second wall of the cinder block.
And we have this. So now we know it took this whole cinder block and shoved it. So just watch this happen again. From here, and the round enters and just absolutely goes through the roast, through the bone of the roast, through the back of the roast, through the oriented strand board, and into the cinder block. And by the way, it pushes and shoves that whole cinder block backwards because these things are carrying just an enormous amount of force.
Then the other fun argument that I've been having with Matt Tardio online is about the fact that the bullet hit C2, allegedly, as its first hit, and how a bullet can't come in from the front at a downwards angle and hit your C2, which is like way up in the top of your neck, and then turn and go straight down into your heart. It's like a zigzag pattern. And Matt Tardio, fucking military scout sniper extraordinaire, whatever he was, is like trying to like expert opinion us into believing that bullets just do zigzag formations.
Man, hit him in the C2 trap.
But here's
down,
Valhalla
right?
VFT, Green Beret,
huge problems
explaining
with
that
this
point
right away. But let's go ahead and, just look at this objectively. All right, we got our protractor out. Let's put that right here on the C2. Okay. We do know, again, from where Tyler Robinson was shooting, it was a 9-degree slope with a 9-degree offset, essentially meaning almost directly on at a 9-degree slope, which we can travel out from our protractor from the C2 here at 9 degrees. Perfect. All right. As we pull the protractor off, what's the first huge glaring issue you guys are going to see here? Oh, they want to tell you the medical examiner report confirms he was first hit in the C2 vertebrae right below the base of the skull. Biggest problem I see with that from the angle Tyler Robinson shoots him from is that would have hit him in the teeth.
So there's more problems with the bullet, with the trajectory. But I actually want to show you a couple more clips from Heavy Duty Country. Dan did some great testing on this with Jesse on Fire. It's also kind of a funny video. But we're just going to show shots 1 and 2 here.
Jackpot.
So, there we go. It's a pork roast, I think, with a giant fucking bone attached to the back with some cinder blocks behind it. Just explodes. Fucking completely explodes. A cow femur. Obviously a lot stronger than a human neck.
So folks, on this one, what we did is we put two porks.
Two porks, just explodes the concrete behind it. Lastly, they put a piece of steel into the mix.
That's a fucking direct hit.
Dan's a good shot.
That, I think it broke the... That was... Holy shit. That was dead on.
So, their shit was all mangled at this point. So they just dropped the piece of shooting steel on top of a pork, and he just shot it to see what would happen. Hard to see until Dan picks it up.
Dead on.
Man,
are we getting the picture? And this isn't some like store-bought, I went to a fucking welding shop to get this. This is legit steel made for shooting rounds.
So had Charlie encased his neck in steel, it still would have gone through the steel and then obliterated his neck. So then maybe it was a frangible round. Maybe it was an old round. Well, we've seen people test frangible rounds too.
Here we go.
Very different, for sure. Goes clean through the roast.
So it went through and it broke. Look at that, dude. Straight through that bone.
So it blew a pretty big hole through the roast, but it stopped at the concrete. Shot number 2. That time through the roast and breaks the concrete. Oh, sorry. This is a turkey, not a roast, which is, technically a lot less substantial than a roast. So there is a conversation to be had around frangible rounds, but also you got to include in that conversation how difficult it is to find frangible rounds. And Jesse on Fire can tell you all about how fucking difficult it is to find frangible 30-06 rounds. So the debate rages on online, where you've got all of the Zionist Fed sloppers all certain that because MLK got allegedly shot by a 30-06 that didn't exit, totally different scenario, that proves that this one for sure was a 30-06 that stopped in Charlie's neck, his Man of Steel neck. And, maybe there's this magical bullet that just has the most unlikely possibility that it just, though it can shoot through steel and concrete and fucking cow bones and all this stuff, maybe this one time the bullet just was a little old and there was just the right grain weight or something, that it just didn't have as much power, and maybe the small percentage chance that it stopped in Charlie's neck and caused just this weird wound that doesn't look like an entry wound at all, that then gushed blood that looks like there's fragments coming out of it. But whatever, don't pay too much attention to that. And I say all that, I remind us of all that at the end here, because there's all these other conversations about evidence, and there's all this other in the weeds about exploding microphones and what's your theory and your theory. And I don't have a theory. I don't fucking know what happened. I don't know what happened. I don't necessarily think that a shape charge in the microphone is for sure proven. There's a lot of evidence about it, a lot of good evidence that you should look at Barron and Candace and all that. John Bray's theory is very well elaborated at this point, but it's not proven. For everyone that's claiming that a 30-06, the mainstream Tyler Robinson lone gunman narrative, aside from the bald guy driving his car, aside from the unidentified badge guy with a gun going to the crime scene, aside from all the weird shit, all the video footage we don't have, all the holes in the mainstream narrative, aside from all that, that whole narrative is based on the premise that the very first thing that happened was a bullet did a 1 in a million thing. Maybe 1 in 1,000, maybe 1 in 10,000. I don't know the odds, but the odds are not good. If you shot 1,000 30-06 rounds at human necks, how many do you think would stop in the neck? That's the question I keep asking everyone online, because it's the question that none of them want to answer. And they don't want to answer it for a very easy, obvious reason, and that's why I'm asking it. Because you're retarded if you're going to try to answer that with a high percentage. There is not a high percentage that 30-06 rounds stop in the neck. It's just not. It's an extremely, extremely unlikely event. I would argue pretty much fucking impossible. But even if you want to argue that there's a possibility that a 30-06 with all that power is going to stop in a human neck and present the wound that we saw, you're basing your whole theory on the very first event being less than a 1% chance. So your entire theory is already less than 1% likely. Because if Tyler Robinson allegedly took the shot 100 times, would even one of them certainly stop in the neck? Would he need to take the shot 1,000 times for one of them to stop in the neck? Are you going to base your whole theory on those odds? And that's why it's a little weird that if you ask any questions, you're an evil piece of shit. Charlie was all about asking questions. Charlie explicitly advocated for asking all the questions about these types of cases, about Butler specifically, about Jeffrey Epstein specifically. And Kash Patel's FBI, Kash Patel sat down with Charlie Kirk, sat down with a lot of podcasters, and explicitly rambled for hours on podcasts about how he was going to crack the Epstein case, how he was going to expose it all, arrest the pedophiles, drain the swamp, arrest the deep state. And then he gets in and covers the whole Epstein story up. That's the FBI that led this investigation. That's the FBI that we're trusting to tell us the truth about Charlie Kirk. You see the problem there? And then that's the FBI that Erica Kirk subsequently is trusting with Charlie's fate, with a true investigation. That's the FBI that TPUSA is saying that they're all behind, despite the fact that Charlie explicitly was all over the Epstein case and wanted answers and would have been deeply unsatisfied, I would imagine, with what we got, and explicitly advocated for asking questions about Butler, another mysterious assassination that never got any answers. So that's where we're at on day 2 of the trial. It's shaping up to be really interesting. We're shaping up to get a lot more information, and you're going to get a lot of inundation of just madness on all sides. The bot traffic on X has exploded. Absolutely exploded. And I can see them in my comment feed. And it's really obvious when you find these suspicious accounts all over a comment section, especially for me, because they all follow me despite hating me and having really low follower counts and mostly being made in the last 3 years. All of that while Israel has it ballooned its budget for social media propaganda to ungodly amounts, almost $1 billion. So I say that just to remind you that we used to look at online consensus to try to understand what everyone thinks, to try to understand, does the comment section agree with me? And in some places, you can still read the comment section and get the feeling for what people are believing. YouTube is better. Instagram's a little better. X is horrible. And more, all of these places, you can't actually trust the comment section to necessarily be a true representation of consensus, whether for or against your own point, because there's just so many bots flooding the zone. I'm inclined to believe that the vast majority of the bot traffic is in the pro-empire direction. It's being done in the direction of where all the funding is, in the direction of the mainstream narrative, because that's where it obviously is happening. You can see it happening, but it's also just logically where it would happen, because I'm just a dude with a dog. I'm not fucking paying for bots. Like, regular independent podcasters can't afford that shit. And certainly not on these like vast military level scales. Certainly not about like this kind of a case. So just think really critically about what you're reading online, what opinions you're absorbing, what consensus you're sort of going with, and question your own beliefs, question the narrative, question what people are telling you, and question all of the authority figures in this case, because it's all extremely suspicious. In the end, what's going to happen in court is going to happen in court. And I don't expect what happens in court to be a perfect representation of the facts, evidence, or opinions of anybody in any real direction. I don't know what's going to happen. Don't know if they're going to convict him. That's a long ways off. But for now, we're getting a lot of really important information about what evidence they actually have, or at least are showing right now. And does it add to the case or make it weirder? And I can't help but wonder who is a bald person driving Tyler Robinson's car. It's a little weird. So I've got a bunch of stuff. I'm moving a bunch more. So videos, I'm going to try to keep on the case. I'm not going to be covering it all live. There's lots of great homies covering it live. Go support them, give them super chats, give them shout outs, like their videos, subscribe to their shit. But that's it for today. We'll keep you posted as the trial goes on. For now, don't forget to keep drinking your water, eat healthy food, get outside, touch some grass, get some sunshine, tell people you love them, do some nice stuff for people. And I'll see you in the next one.
Conspiracy theories are entering a dangerous...
Information is the oxygen of the democracy.
There's so much evidence out there that even if less than 1% is true, that